What's going on, everybody? It's another episode of Denmark and Marsh. I'm Dylan Denmark. That is Graham Marsh. This is really the first game that I'm pretty excited for the game. Like every other game, I was like, Georgia game probably gonna get blown out. Didn't happen. Tennessee game, I was like, we're probably gonna lose by 17. This is the first game where I'm really excited. However, it's gonna be freezing cold. It's gonna be like 60 degrees at kickoff. It is gonna be sunny though.
That's the most Floridian thing you've ever said in your life.
That's why I said it.
It's going to be freezing cold. It's going to be 60 degrees.
Let me check the kickoff weather.
Bro, I don't think anyone born north of,
Florida, Georgia line?
Yeah, thinks that that's 60 degrees. Dude, 60 degrees is beautiful. That's like a perfect day, dude. What are you talking about? That's football
At noon,
weather, man.
it's supposed to be 59. It'll be sunny, though. If it's sunny, it'd be all right.
That is
but 60 overcast and wind, my toes get cold. I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't want to overcast. It's supposed to be sunny, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's sunny, I'm chilling. I agree with you that it feels... I don't love when it gets below 60 and it's cloudy outside. Not that I'm, deathly cold or anything, but it's just kind of gross when it's overcast and chilly. But when the sun's out, and that's like my favorite weather right there.
That's your weather report brought to you by nobody. Are you excited about the game? How you feeling? I'm kind of feeling... Ole Miss could win by 17 and Florida could also win by a field goal, and I could see both outcomes. Not so much the Florida field goal, but I think Ole Miss is a top 5 team in the league, in the country.
Yeah, that's because they are. Ole Miss plays Indiana right
I think
now.
their consensus, they're top 10. I don't think everybody's on board that they're a top 5 team.
Yeah, but in the SEC, people believe that.
Yeah, I'm saying in the country.
No, I know, but if they play, if Ole Miss plays Indiana neutral site, what's his final score?
They beat them. They beat Penn State. I think they beat Indiana by 20. Indiana only has, I saw this, listen to a preview for the, turn me down a little bit, man. Indiana has 10 4- and 5-star recruits, and Ohio State has 60 plus, 68, I think, 67 maybe. That's, if Ohio State can't beat them by what the spread is, at least by 14, that's, you got serious questions. I know you coached them up well, but.
Well, how often have we seen this with Penn State? Penn State plays a 1-game season every year.
2, them in Michigan.
2-game season. This year it's a 1-game season.
Yeah.
You're right, too, I guess, to be fair. They play a bunch of nobodies. They don't have a pulse. And then it comes down to Michigan and Ohio State for them every year, and this year it's just Ohio State because Michigan's no good. Michigan can't complete a forward pass this year, but, Indiana's the same thing. It's just they have a 1-game regular season. And look, this happened in the 4-team playoff. This happened in the 12-team playoff. This will happen in a 16-team playoff. This will happen in a 20-team playoff, whatever. I firmly believe that Indiana's a really cool story. It's great. Kirk Cignetti's awesome. They're really fun. They're one of the more fun teams to watch in college football this year. I have gone out of my way to watch a little more of them than I ever would have watched Indiana football. I'm not telling you I've watched every play, but if they lose to Ohio State, they don't deserve to be in.
No.
It's that simple. We got SEC fans listening to us, so I'm sure they're going to agree with us, but just that is that.
Yeah,
it's that
I really
simple,
don't
man.
usually have cared about the SEC bias or getting, championing that SEC patch. I kind of am this year because you have all these pukes. Even Cignetti the other day was like, because we don't play Mercer. I'm like, dude, so y'all have never played a cream puff? I'm just like, all these SEC teams that are 10-2 would beat, I believe, most teams of the Big Ten other than Ohio State and Oregon.
Yeah.
They could beat them 50-50, but they'd beat Notre Dame and all the other ones.
I agree.
Convincingly, I think. Ole Miss, Florida, how's the game go down?
How does it go down and who wins, or just how does it go down?
Just
start of the fourth.
whatever.
You're asking me start of the fourth.
Mood,
What's the vibe?
Does Florida have trouble on offense with that defensive front?
You're asking me start of the fourth. What's the vibe?
The defensive defense look like it did it against A&M, kind of, where we're giving up explosive plays? Ole Miss has had I think they lead the country in explosive plays.
That's worrisome.
Yes. LSU had no explosive plays on us.
Yeah.
But Ole Miss is not LSU.
LSU had the capability to get explosive plays on us, but they didn't, to be fair. Texas ran up and down the field on them. And I get the whole quarterback thing. I understand the context of it matters and everything, but DJ Lagway don't play defense.
Yes, but the vibe is a lot different, and you're playing a lot harder when he's in the game.
It is.
I will say that, though.
It is, and I definitely think there's a lot of merit to that, like, especially once it got to the second half against Texas. But that first quarter against that was inexcusable. I mean, Texas wasn't even struggling. It wasn't even hard.
No.
I mean, Florida forced them to a field goal opportunity that first drive, and Texas missed. Other than that, they were playing on freshman mode in NCAA the rest of the game, dude. But I think being at home, Florida's defense was lights out when it counted against LSU. I know they gave up a lot of third downs. When it came to point scoring time, they were lights out. I think it's going to be somewhere in between that. I don't anticipate them being quite as lights out as they were against LSU, but I don't anticipate them being as bad as they were against Texas or A&M or those games either. I think they're realistically. I think Ole Miss scores 24.
Ole Miss scores 24?
Ole Miss scores 24, 28, somewhere in there.
I lean a little more.
What about 28?
A little bit more.
31?
34, 35.
Damn.
I think. I mean, the Vegas has the game as like a 34-23 kind of game. Like that's the kind of game I'm seeing.
Really?
I think Ole Miss offense is too good for Florida to contain them. We saw a little bit from the Texas game. You get after the DBs. Ole Miss wants to air it out, and they can run the ball too. But I mean, and you had your biggest emotional win of the year. That's hard to come back and do it again.
Billy has historically fallen on his face after big emotional
Kentucky
games like
after Utah. I forget what was last year. They beat Tennessee. I don't know who they played the week after.
But look at the Texas game after Georgia. I mean, I know they lost to Georgia, but like that's probably the best they've played all year.
Moral victory. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's probably up and down. Would you say Georgia's probably the best they've played all year?
Yeah.
Or at least close to it. Maybe Kentucky because they blew Kentucky out of the water, but it's one of the better games they played all year. Big game, rival game, emotional game, and then Texas was just horrendous to watch. I get the whole quarterback part of it as well, but that defense was not going to stop a nosebleed if Tom Brady was in the game. So again, I think the truth is going to lie somewhere in the middle. I think Florida keeps it more competitive than you're saying. I think you're going to look up. I think you're going to, because you and I are going to the game, and probably a lot of people listening will go to the game, or those watching on TV is fine too. I think we're going to stand up at the end of the third. We're going to put our arms around each other. We're going to sing "We Are the Boys." We're going to take our phones out, turn the light on, even though it's going to be like 3 o'clock. We're going to wave around, and we're going to sing "Walk Back Down." And it's going to be a 7-point game or less.
Yeah, I'd say it's a 4-point game. I think it's probably about.
So then, does that mean that you think the fourth quarter Ole Miss just
game?
pulls away?
I mean, yeah, I think Ole Miss scores a touchdown late, and they kind of like we're the better team.
So you think it's more like a one-possession game most of the game, and then the end is sort of like Georgia was. Georgia's a one-possession game, back and forth the whole game, and then they had the really late touchdown that put it away and made it a 14-point final.
I still don't think Lagway is going to have his legs, and I wouldn't.
He don't need them.
No. Well, one game.
That right arm was blessed by God Himself, Dylan.
Yes, it is.
Here's the thing, man. I think, and people have been saying it all week, and I agree with this. DJ Lagway's right arm gives the Gators the ability to beat anyone in the country. It doesn't mean they're going to. It of course doesn't mean it doesn't mean next year they're going undefeated or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if that man's right arm is in the football game in a Florida Gator uniform, they have the ability to beat anyone because at any given time they can get an explosive play. Because we talked about this on Saturday night after the LSU game reaction. We talked about this earlier in the season as well. The touch on his deep balls is the most incredible thing I've seen in college in a long time. It is ridiculous what he's able to do, throwing the ball 40, 50 yards down the field. And when you have that capability, you can, again, doesn't mean you're going to, but you can beat anybody. Because think about it. Let's say Florida starts slow, okay, on Saturday. Knock on wood, I hope that doesn't happen. But let's say they start slow. They start slow and they get down 10-0. right? You're like, oh man, here we go again. If Florida blows a coverage or whatever, gave a big explosive to Ole Miss or whatever. I'm now confident that they could go out there that second drive, third drive, what have you, and Lagway's going to hit DK 35 yards down the field. Lagway's going to hit Badger 40 yards down the field. And Florida can, in the blink, is going to be 10-7.
Though with him, you can have an 80-yard drive and 4 plays and just be right back in it.
Which is why
he's that good.
Which is why we talked about this the other day. Which is why the time of possession for the LSU game is so misleading. It's something that's bothered me all week hearing people talk about the game. Our friend Ryan the Hacker Green said this.
Good friend of the program, by the way.
And I could not have disagreed with him harder. And I know we're doing Gator Bites tomorrow, so I'll give him hell about this. The time of possession was not a reason to look at that game and say, man, LSU dominated Florida. They just couldn't score a point. That's not true. That's not true. Okay, part of the reason LSU dominated time of possession was because they were converting every third down. I get that, and that's clearly an issue that this defense still needs to clean up. The defensive line is getting in the backfield better. They're covering better. But 3rd and 8+ needs to be almost automatic. You're getting off the field, and it's not for this defense, and that's a problem. But another big reason the time of possession was so lopsided is because Florida's scoring drives, they were getting them in 30 seconds. Lagway's averaging 18+ yards a throw down the field. Like, you're not going to be on the field long.
You can win like that, but you can't win like that. That's not a sustainable way of winning.
I disagree. If you're scoring enough points, why is it not sustainable?
Because
if you're getting in the end zone, yes, it is.
Your defense is playing week in and week out, 70+ plays, 80+ plays. They're going to wear down. I mean, you already look at all the injuries they have now. And at some point in the game, like when Georgia played Tennessee, Georgia had the ball with 8 minutes left. They were up 7. You needed to kill some clock. Georgia ran the ball all the way down the field at 3 yards a clip, scores a touchdown, and Tennessee had the ball back with like 90 seconds left.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. If Georgia had scored on that drive in 30 seconds, do they end up losing the game?
No, but
correct. I don't think it.
But Tennessee is more involved in the game when you have the capability to run the ball like Georgia did. And I'm saying not Florida can't, but I'm saying in that scenario, when you can own the time of possession week in and week out, you're showing the other team that you have a better line of scrimmage. The other team can know that you're running the ball, and there's nothing they can do about it. And that's demoralizing for a team. The energy, if you're playing on the road, that changes everything within the game because there's just nothing you can do.
I hear what you're saying. I think where I'm at is like I'm not going to punish Florida's offense for not being on the field long when they're getting in the end zone. That's my point. And again, I hear what you're saying. Like there's obviously value in 5, 6, 7 minute drives that eat up clock, especially toward the end of a game. 4-minute offense and the ability to do it is important and can really help you win a lot of games. My point is, if you keep scoring, who cares? Touchdowns. Now, the difference is, if you burn no clock and then you don't get in the end zone, that's obviously far worse than if you get to have some drive that chews up clock and then you got to punt the ball or turn over, whatever.
I mean, nobody will talk about this because we won and everything's just glossed over. What started that drive, Ball's last touchdown, was that 20-yard pass.
Yeah.
Okay, if that guy's covered and it's an incomplete pass, that doesn't spring the drive into, what ball eventually did. And, they might still score. But, like me, I just wanted to run the ball, get 3 first downs, kill the game, be done with it. But I'm very nuts and bolts.
I think that's where we're disagreeing here is like, I get what you're saying, but it doesn't matter because Florida got in the end zone and slammed the door shut on the game anyways. When Jaden Ball crossed the goal line, the game was over, right?
There was still a little chance.
Okay, but
LSU could have scored, got an onside kick.
LSU was going to have to go down the field, score, and did they have any time? I don't know if they had timeouts. I'm not sure. But LSU was going to have to go all the way down the field, score a touchdown because they're down 11, get a 2-point conversion, get an onside kick, then get a field. Like the game was effectively over. Obviously, it would have been even better if Florida scores with bleeding more clock. I get all that. But if you're going to score, I'll live with it.
I'm not disagreeing there with you.
But that's kind of my point. Like, was Jaden Ball supposed to go down at the 5-yard line instead of score? Like, no, get in the end zone and slam the door shut. Go up 11, go up double digits, and let these boys know they don't belong on this field.
Something Hacker's going to mention to you tomorrow, and I know he will. So, Ole Miss, you know who they lost to twice?
Frank Frangie has been mentioning this on his show all week as well. Yeah, just because I've been hearing it. LSU and Kentucky, I get it.
I buy absolutely nothing into that.
Yeah, I don't, because the thing is, if you go down that rabbit hole, you have to play it the other way as well. Ole Miss also beat Georgia.
Yeah, they handled Georgia.
It wasn't even close.
Like, it was Ole Miss threw a pick, Georgia scored, and then Ole Miss went on a 28-3 run.
Yeah, correct. So
dominated. Georgia never had a shot of even like contemplating being in that game in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. That's why you can't play that game, because you can always play it both.
And matchups are everything.
Yeah. I agree.
Like how Kentucky matched up with Ole Miss and how Kentucky controlled the ball and ran the clock. Ole Miss stayed off the field.
And we agree there. And to the back to the point of like scoring fast or worse, it's a moot point anyways, and I'm sure people are thinking this when they're watching this show. It's a moot point anyways because Florida has shown the ability to run the ball 4 or 5 yards a carry. They can do that.
Yeah, we got to get more than 6 carries apiece to our tailbacks this week.
I agree.
That's got to happen.
I agree. I think, Saturday night we were talking about the game, and we wanted to mostly just talk about the good stuff and celebrate a win because Gator Nation deserved to celebrate that win, and we deserve positive vibes. But I think I was picking up on what you were saying, and I think we agree. The one criticism, I think, play calling wise in that game, it's Jaden Ball before his big run had done close to nothing in that game. Jacoby Jackson was running well. He was running best of anybody, but it still wasn't as consistent. It wasn't as we're coming down your throat, we're going to dominate you type of game when they had the ability, I think, to do so. I agree they should have done that a little bit more.
Trying to look what Ball's box score was. He had 6 carries. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, that's already a problem.
LSU. Ball and Jackson had 6 carries. Yeah, he had 5 carries for 10 yards before that run.
Correct.
And
so
he had a 55-yard run.
That's a problem. How is it that late in the game and Jaden Ball only has 5
And carries? Jackson was 6 yards a clip for 6 carries.
And now look, again, context does matter. If Lagway's completing the ball 50 yards down the field and you're getting 50 yards or 40 yards in one play, then you're going to have less plays to get these guys the ball. And I understand that. But at the same time, there were other drives where they should have fed those guys the rock more. I completely agree. And the ball touchdown was a great play call. You had a little misdirection going left. You pitched it back right. Get them off balance. Get to the outside. Ball's got speed. He hits DBs in the open field with bad intentions. Like, this dude in the open field is a problem for dudes that are smaller, right? So I think they should have gone to more of that stuff earlier in the game. Was my biggest criticism of the play calling in this game. Like, they were struggling for whatever reason a lot of the game going up the middle, running the ball in the A gap. Probably because it's still so predictable when they're going to run the ball up the middle. When they go in the pistol, first and second down, it's still too predictable when they do that.
Motion.
We talked about this on Saturday night. It's weird that ever since Eugene Wilson got hurt, that motion guy, it's normally Aiden Mizell now. They never give him the ball. That's weird to me. Why?
Sometimes you do that to run a formation and see what the defense is in. So if you want to go back to that formation later, or if you want to set up a play later, you can see what their look is. But I mean, it's so predictable because Billy does it every single game. Well, it's not like but you're not fooling anybody.
But my thing is, even if they had given it, because he must have run that motion in that game at least like 5 or 6. It felt like a lot. They ran that motion. If you at least give it to Mizell twice, okay, and let's say neither pops off for a big one, but let's say one gets 6 and another gets 2, okay, and they're not big crazy plays, but to your point of kind of setting up other stuff, even just that little bit and showing them that you will stretch the sideline would have helped them out up the middle, in my opinion. I think it got to a point where LSU knew every time Florida was going to run the ball, they were going to go up the middle.
I mean, the only person that's going to be a threat on a jet sweep is Mizell. It's not going to be DK or Badger. That's about it.
Okay, that's fine.
It's just Mizell. So, I mean, it's a kind of pointless if you're going to run that jet motion with the handoff inside the pistol like they usually do. Just my opinion.
And never give it to him.
Yeah.
Why? That's still weird to me. Again, I'm not saying you got to give. I'm not saying every drive you got to give him a jet sweep. I'm just saying like
defense can respect it.
You have to. It's the same thing as the deep ball. You have to let the defense know that you will do it, right? Because if you don't, and they can just cheat over to the stuff they know that you want to do, it makes that stuff 1,000 times harder. It was a little bit of, and this happened a lot last year, I think, with Mertz in the game. Mertz is a good player, but I think sometimes they got stuck in a phone booth last year on offense because that deep ball threat wasn't there, and guys could sit on stuff, and the short stuff that Mertz wants to do wasn't quite as open, and the plays where at times when the offense is clicking, you're doing a 4 or 5 yard check down, and my tight end can go get 6 more. Because dudes are so far back, these are turning in. I'm getting tackled right there, and it's only 4 yards. The ability to throw the ball deep backs off. Guy, this is football 101, but I just think they should have dared a little more to test the sidelines. Is basically what I'm trying to say here.
Florida Ole Miss at noon. Florida State next week is 7:30. Kind of weird for terrible as Florida State is. I guess ACC went at prime time for that game. What time we rolling down there? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock? I mean, you're not going to be on time anyway, so it doesn't matter. I can just add 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, whatever time you're going to try to.
Wait, for what?
The game Saturday.
Well, I'm confused because you were talking about Florida State.
About the game's at 7:30 next week. We already got a game time for that. You didn't see?
No, I saw that, but I was confused because you said Florida State, and then you said what time we rolling down there.
Oh.
So I thought
what
you were
time we rolling down on Ole Miss?
I thought you were talking about Florida. I was like, what? Game's at noon. Hour and a half drive. Traffic.
Ain't no traffic. We're gonna park by our old stomping grounds.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Take 16th Street. Take a right.
What do you think? Leave at 9?
Pushing it. We'll leave at 9. I like to get breakfast before. Have a full stomach for the whole day.
Oh yeah, that's true. No, we can get something to eat.
All right,
if we're getting something to eat, then definitely leave earlier.
All right, bet.
Watch the local. You know what sucks, man, and I think a lot of Gator fans can sympathize with this that are watching this. Why does it feel like every great
it's just Lagway?
No.
Every big game is with the same time as Florida.
It's so annoying.
Like the only game that we care to watch is Ohio State, Indiana. It's the same time as
It's so annoying. First of all, the Big Ten and Big Noon and Fox. I don't care what Joel Klatt says. They ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Well, they're already selling merch. Big Noon sucks.
That's great because it does suck.
Yeah. Well, there's that, and there's like.
They ought to be ashamed of themselves trying to force Noon down our throats and act like Noon isn't meant for Louisville, Wake Forest. Like your big games need to be at night or 3:30. It's that simple. But why does this break their brains? That kills me, bro.
There was no big game at noon. That's what they wanted to do.
That's dumb to me. There's no big game at 6 a.m. We gonna play at 6 a.m.? No, because ain't nobody want to watch at 6 a.m. That ain't how it works.
I mean, that's what they do in London.
You know what makes college football great? Drunk college kids. Filling a stadium.
Yeah, they're
yelling
asleep
loud.
still at noon. All right, I got to do a show what I'm actually paid to do. This is just side hustle. I like Ole Miss by 10. I think it's a good game. Goes down. Ole Miss scores a late touchdown. Ole Miss is a little better. Ole Miss escapes the swamp.
I'm picking the Gators, baby. Gators by 7. Gators win 31-24.
And they won't
book it.
Back
Book it.
down.
Picking
All right,
the
see y'all
Gators
Saturday.
31-24.